Thanks. Welcome back. So how many people in the room are actual producers and have produced something that could be called transmedia? Solid guess that it would be so many. How many of you worked with the guilds? Excellent number of hands. I think there are a lot of people in this arena who are a little frightened by the idea of the guilds because they look at rights as a nervous-making venture in all of this. But I think anyone who's actually approached any of the guild members and tried to work with them to come up with a way to put their work out there in a manner that is fully within the guidelines have learned that these guys are really trying to work with us, and they very much want to make it work for all of us. And so I very much welcome them on board. Get your questions ready, because that'll be a big part of this panel to answer any questions you might have. Feel free, though, to approach these guys both during the Digital Hollywood and afterward, because that's what they're here for. They're here to not only help you answer questions that have already come up before, but to confront new questions and figure out what the new answers might be. So I'd like to invite Tamara Krinsky to the stage. It was my great pleasure to hang out with her and a number of other people on this panel at South by Southwest. I think we got a little drunk, but it was really fun. And so please, Tamara Krinsky.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm going to lower this a little because I'm short. Okay. I want to welcome everybody to the Guilds and Professional Organizations panel. I am joined by three wonderful people who I'm going to have introduce themselves and give a brief introduction to what each organization does. Will.
I guess that's me. I'm Will Marshall. I am the manager of the New Media Department at Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television Radio Artists, which is just SAG-AFTRA. As the manager, I oversee the entertainment independent new media contracts, the interactive agreements, which is video games, and also performance capture issues. So if you have any questions about any of those topics,
and
I'm
Will,
your guy.
What are you watching right now that you like? One or two things that you would recommend?
Well, I've actually finally just watched Mercury Man last week in my office. It was really good. I waited a long time, but check it out.
The beauty of the internet. You can watch something older now, and it's new to you.
I am Shelagh Wagener, and I work at the Writers Guild of America West. And I work in member services and organizing, and I handle all things new media. Tamara and I both work in new media at the Guild, so between the two of us, we handle incoming contracts, we shepherd them through the contract department, we work with members who are already Guild members working in new media, help them along, and we also work with non-members to get their projects covered and to help them become members of the Guild through new media.
And what are you watching right now that you like?
One of the things I love, I had a panel last night at the Guild, and I had the creator of a show called Burning Love on Yahoo, Erica Oyama, which was absolutely, if you guys haven't seen it, it's hysterical. It is satire, basically, of The Bachelor, and very, very worthwhile. And Cybergeddon is actually also very good, also on Yahoo.
Tim?
Hi, I'm Tim Street. I'm on the board of directors for the International Academy of Web Television, and we are an organization that helps independent content producers to elevate their work and learn about web video. And then also we put on an award show in January at CES, January 8th in Las Vegas. Amber J. Lawson, who is in the back of the room, is producing the event for us, so I think you should give her a big round of applause because she's awesome. And if you have any questions about the awards, come talk with me or come talk with Amber. I also am a producer, writer, producer, director, and have done web series. I've done transmedia properties, have a new book on the iPad that's a mystery thriller with about 90 minutes of video in it. And I'm working on a new web series now that I'm casting that is SAG-AFTRA project as well. So I kind of span a lot of things, and then I also work in mobile video and advertising with a company called M Dialogue. So a lot of stuff going on here. And my favorite web series watching lately, actually this is a fun one because it doesn't really, I'm not the target audience in this one, but a buddy of mine is producing a web series, and it's called The Lizzie Bennet Diaries, and it's based on the book Pride and Prejudice. And he actually came to my house to shoot some episodes because that's how we web video people are. So check it out. It's covered by SAG, and it's also Writers Guild. So check it out.
Yeah, and as Shelagh mentioned, I also work at the Writers Guild in new media. I work in research. I'm a member of SAG. I'm a member of the Web Academy. So between the four of us, we have a lot of different experiences. So hopefully we can get all your questions answered. We have two unions here and one professional organization. We have some things in common, so some questions will apply to all three of you. Some will be more specific. So let's start with a couple of basic terms. These mostly apply to the guilds. What is a signatory? What is an MBA? And what do you count as new media? What does that mean when you're talking about a union?
I'll start with that. Let's start with the MBA. The MBA means Minimum Basic Agreement. It's a book that is like this thick that we've had at the Writers Guild for a long time that we just keep tweaking. Every 3 years we have a negotiation with the companies, and we sign what is called the MBA, the Minimum Basic Agreement with them, which also explains what a signatory is. A signatory is a company that has signed this Minimum Basic Agreement with us. So all the big companies like 20th Century Fox, Warner Brothers, those companies have all signed the MBA, and we also have all the way down to, producer, writer, owners forming signatory companies, signing on to the MBA and getting all of the protections from the MBA.
And Will, does it work pretty much the same at SAG-AFTRA?
Yeah, it works pretty much exactly the same, except we call ours the CBA, which is the Codified Basic Agreement. So it's just a little different there. We promulgate an agreement for independent entertainment content that is intended for initial release online or on mobile devices. So we have an agreement that we pull language from that CBA and offer those to independent producers. And the terms of the promulgated agreement are much easier for web video producers and independent producers alike to use, because there aren't a lot of minimums like our other contracts have. So it's a really flexible contract, and it's easy to work with.
So as long as we're talking about contracts, let's go right into it. Because Tim, you've signed the CBA, right?
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about that process and kind of go over the basics of what's in each of those contracts.
Sure. So in terms as an independent producer, there's a couple different ways in new media that you can work with both of these organizations. I'm more familiar with SAG because I just went through the process, and I'll soon be going through the process with the WGA. But in terms of SAG, you can sign on as a full-blown company that you're signing with SAG, or you can do a one project only type signature, where for a lot of web people and folks that work for hire situations, different producers that are creating their own content, that's kind of an attractive option there, is that you don't have to sign to do every single project that you do as a SAG-AFTRA project. So you can do a one-time only signing. And you correct me if I'm wrong on anything here. Okay?
No, you are right on the ball.
And that really is kind of you feel safe as a producer that way. Like you're not committing all the way. It's kind of hey, okay. But that allows you to work with the union actors, which I got to tell you personally, huge difference in casting, going from non-union casting to a union casting, because what happens, let's say you have some small little production that nobody's ever heard of, that nobody really cares about. But now all of a sudden, there's an opportunity for an actor to become SAG because of, or SAG-AFTRA, sorry, because of your project, your independent project. All of a sudden, that becomes attractive to a lot of talented actors, as well as actors that are already in the guild. And so I just posted last week a casting call that was SAG-AFTRA. I posted it on Breakdown Express. And normally in the past when I've done non-union productions for web series, I'll get 70 to 100 submissions for a role. I'm one of the roles I've had 2,000 submissions for one role. And the only thing I can really attribute it to is the fact that this is a union production. So, and anything else I need to
No. So let's talk a little bit about the contracts. You know, as Shelagh mentioned, the book for the Writers Guild is very, very thick, but the new media contract is actually a pretty basic contract, and they've done it that way to make it easier for producers to work with. So do you want to go over kind of the basic points?
Yeah, Tamara's exactly right. It's what I would call flexible. We take things on a case-by-case basis. Our attitude is we're going to work with new media content creators to get their projects covered. We want to get new media content creators members of our guild. This is the future. Unlike the SAG-AFTRA contract, and this is a big difference, we don't have a one-time deal. What we hope to do is for writer-producers, say you come to me and you've got a web series you want to do, you're not a guild member, I will take you through the process of becoming a signatory to the side letter for the MBA, which is a very easy process. You have to become an LLC, but again, that's quite straightforward. And after you become a signatory, everything you do after that, and it's not as scary as it sounds, but will be guild covered. There are no minimums in new media, which is where the flexibility comes in. You have to pay yourself something. Say you're a writer-producer and you're going to hire yourself. We're going to want you to have a contract between yourself and the company. You can pay yourself as little as $1, but you need to pay yourself something. P&H, which is pension and health contributions, are a big part of why people join our guild. And there are P&H contributions for new media. It's 16.25% of what you're paid as a writer. So again, it's totally flexible. And those pension and health contributions aren't due until you get third-party financing. So say you've written a web series, you're the owner-producer of it, nobody's paid you for that web series yet, you've got no advertising money. Pension and health is not due until you get third-party money coming in.
And what about if you're not hiring yourself, if you're a company that's hiring somebody else? Does it work the same way?
Yes. Well, if you're a company, there's already like an arm's length agreement there. So say Disney hires you to write webisodes of one of their shows. As soon as you get paid by them, pension and health will come out.
Okay. And Will, how about the basics of the SAG-AFTRA agreement?
Our agreement is a little even more simplified than the WGA contract. There are no minimum terms. There are no working condition requirements in the contract. Everything is negotiable between the performer and the producer. The only caveat is if you do agree to pay your performer something, you also have to pay pension and health. And for SAG-AFTRA members, that is 16.5%. So if you pay them $100 a day, thank you, you would also have to pay $16.50 into their pension and health plan. Other than that, there aren't a lot of real requirements under the contract unless you negotiate those with your performer. It's really easy to sign onto the contract. It's only 4 pages long. We've created an online system, so you can actually...
It's easy to use, the online system. It's great.
That's good to hear.
What would the address for that online system be? Where does one find it?
You would go to OSA, which is Online Signatory Application, .sagaftra.org. I almost said sag.org. And you can sign, there are a few different contracts you can sign on that application online, including the new media contract and a couple of our short film agreements. and I believe maybe the student, but a few different contracts on there. So you can go online, sign all of the paperwork, you can upload all the required documents and send it to us electronically. So it's really easy. We usually ask about 2 weeks to process these, which we understand is kind of a long time to ask for in new media. But we get so many submissions that we literally can't get to them fast enough. So what we do is we process them based on shoot date. So if your shoot date is coming up really soon, we'll try to get to your production first so that we don't miss any deadlines. So we're really sort of flexible that way. So if you are thinking about it and you're concerned, just call us and we'll work it out.
So we've talked about it a little bit from the company side. And by the way, as we're going through these questions, we're going to sort of do an overview of a bunch of different areas. But if there's something specific to what we're talking about that you have a question about, please feel free to go raise your hand. We'll jump in. We will definitely do a Q&A period at the very end, but I want to accommodate questions you might have right away. So we've talked a little bit about the company side and the signatory side. All three organizations have members. So let's talk a little bit about how does one become a member of each of the unions and the Web Academy.
Should I start us?
You start.
You go for it.
Shake things up a little.
Can you become a member through new media? How does it work?
You can actually become a member through new media. All of the same eligibility rules apply in new media as they would under any regular television or theatrical contract through SAG-AFTRA. So if you're hired on union production, you can work 3 days as a background performer and become eligible, or 1 day as a principal performer and become eligible that way. So it's a fun way to sort of work in this space and become eligible to join so you can become even more professional in your craft.
And once you join, how much does it cost?
Currently, our joining fees are about $3,000, which roughly works out to about 3 days of pay under a couple of different contracts we have. So that's how they sort of came up with that number post-merger. So that's how much it costs.
And you can pay that in installments, I assume.
Well, that's a great question. You can actually create a installment plan with the union. I don't think they advertise it readily, so it's good to know. So if you are eligible and you want to join and you're talking to the membership department, just ask them for the payment plan. The only problem with the payment plan is if you get another SAG-AFTRA covered job while you're making your payments, you'd have to pay the remainder before you could do that job. So you could still get in a sort of must-pay situation, but if you don't have any work lined up, it could help you out a little.
And WGA?
And the WGA, also with new media, we work on a point system, and for full membership, it's 24 points. So I also should mention, we have a great website as well, and we have a new media whole section. It's WGA.org/new media. And there's a new media guide up there that's very comprehensive. And we have a chart on there which will break it down by minute how many points you will accrue towards membership. And the points are based on what kind of credit you get, whether you get story by, teleplay, story and teleplay. So that's how you can gain points towards new membership for new media. And also, once you how much does it cost? It costs $2,500 for the initiation fee. And then a lot of times I get asked, once you're a member, how much does it cost you? It costs 1.5% in dues of your writer salary per quarter. So.
Got it. And how does one join the Web Academy?
So if you'd like to get involved with the International Academy of Web Television, just visit iawtv.org. And you can join for the low, low price of $90.
Sounds awful.
And one of the great benefits of the IAWTV is that we have a Facebook group where other web series creators, producers, actors, cinematographers, audio people, music people all lurk. And a lot of great ideas are shared there, as well as equipment is shared there. And, I saw a posting a couple weeks ago by David Nett, one of our members, and he was like, "Hey, can anybody else help out? We have a shoot." I was like, you know what? I haven't worked as a grip in a long time, so I went out on a Sunday and was a grip on a shoot and just helped him out for free. And I got to tell you, that's pretty rewarding just to be on somebody else's set, watch them dealing with all the issues, all the pressures of putting their production together. It was a learning experience to me to see somebody else doing that. And it was just rewarding to know that I was helping somebody else out. So it's a great community right now of people sharing ideas, and we'd love to have you join.
So it sounds like one of the main benefits for are we going with the Academy? Are we going with the Web Academy? Are we going with IAWTV?
IAWTV is pretty much how we refer to ourselves, but it's the International Academy of Web Television.
All right, we're going with IAWTV. So it sounds like one of the main benefits is really the community and kind of the bringing together of a lot of producers who don't really have it's not like there's one TV writing room for the media producers.
No, there's not, but we do have groups where we get together, and it's not on a consistent basis, but what we'll do is we have a writers group where we'll bring in a group of writers, and we've done this as a panel, and then we've also done this in a private environment as well many times, and we workshop scripts. So a writer will submit their work to the group, and they come in, and we have actors read the scripts in front of other writers, and then everybody gives feedback on the idea of the script. We also have a producers group that's very similar, that was based on the writers group that we do. And the writers group was formed by Bernie Sue, who's really, really popular right now in web series land. And,
creator of the aforementioned Lizzie Bennet Diaries.
Yes, and Bernie has quite a few web series in the works right now, so he's kind of a hot ticket item. But Bernie put together a writers group, and so the producers wanted to have a similar group. So we put together a producers group, and we talk about different things in the producers groups. But one of the things that we do on a semi-regular basis, not every month, sometimes it's 6 months before we do one, but we do them quite often. You'll bring in a web series idea to pitch. And you can bring in a trailer, you can bring in a PowerPoint presentation, or you can just verbally pitch your show to the group, and it's full of other producers, and then we give you feedback on the idea. We try to find out, what's your goal? Do you want to self-finance this? Do you want to sell it to a studio? Do you want to sell it to a network? Do you want to sell it to a platform? So we get an idea of what your goals are. You come in, you pitch that, we give you feedback on your pitch, on the idea, but we also give you feedback on the pitch as well. How did you do? Were you articulate? Were you funny? Did we get lost when you started talking about that time in college that you did drugs, or whatever it is? And it's really valuable. That community aspect comes into play there. And so far, there's not a lot of, people are competitive, but it's still, everyone is helping everyone, and it's a fun time.
And Shelagh and Will, what kinds of programs do SAG-AFTRA and the WGA have? And we've already talked about the benefit of going union as far as professionalizing the people that you're working with and the level of talent. Are there educational programs? Are there member groups? What?
There are educational programs in new media. I kind of feel like we're just ramping up, weirdly enough, in new media. We did a fantastic panel last night. Tamara and I, we had Anthony Zeiker, who is the creator of Cybergeddon, also famous as creating CSI. He came, and we had Erica Oyama of Burning Love. We also had Brad Bell and Jane Espenson, who created a show called Husbands, and Dennis Leone, who did Resurrection Boulevard, but then also has Los Americans on the web. And they came, and the topic of the panel was the art of writing for the web, and it was just sort of an informal night, a Q&A for our members to get a chance to talk to content creators working in the space. And we're going to do a lot more things like that, definitely.
I do a lot of events with SAG-AFTRA, especially now post-merger. There's a lot of questions going around. So I do a monthly contract workshop where one of my business reps will come in and explain the contract to aspiring producers and go through the process of joining and go through the online signatory application live to show people how to do it. I also do a lot of speaking with other organizations. I do a lot of work with the SAG Foundation, which is a separate organization from SAG-AFTRA. I have an educational series in the works with them, so if you follow SAG Foundation's events, look for that in the future. And then I sponsor a lot of events at conferences around the country and go and speak at a lot of those, like today. And I'll be at New York Television Festival next week, so if you're in New York, stop by.
And WGA does some similar things. We're working, I think actually all of us are working with the Consumer Electronics Association. Yes. There's a press event here in Los Angeles next week at UTA, which will have some wonderful speakers on it. So they'll be talking about taking content that you make directly to the consumer and ways that technology is helping with that. You can find out more about that on, I think, all of our websites at the moment.
Yes.
And one other thing I wanted to mention for the WGA is once you start earning points, you can join as an associate member, which is just $100 for the year. And then you get access to a number of the different programs that we have, including the programming that Shelagh mentioned. We also have diversity groups. So if you belong to a particular diversity group, these are smaller groups that meet and provide a peer group as well. So things like that. Another thing that we all have in common are awards. So I actually want to take an audio-visual moment. We're going to actually show a clip from the WGA Awards from this past year. We're going to show the Original New Media Award.
Here are the nominees
for New Media.
Original.
Aim High, episodes 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Written by Heath Corson and Richie Keene. Downsized, episodes 2.1, Employment, 2.2, Clientele, 2.3, Personal Property, 2.4, The American Dream, 2.5, Debt Ceiling. Written by Darren Strauss. Jack in a Box, episodes 3.1, The Return, 3.5, The Testosterone, 3.6, The Advice, 3.7, The Date. Written by Michael Cyril Creighton.
And the winner of the Writers Guild Award for New Media Original is Heath Corson and Richie Keene for Aim High.
Aim High, episodes 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Written by Heath Corson and Richie Keene.
Wow.
This project is the definition of a passion project. We wrote this in a coffee shop. We are, like you, TV and film writers, and we are proud to be a part of the digital revolution, and even more proud, and to you producers out there, you can make a digital show with the WGA, in partnership with the WGA.
This is where we thank people. We're a digital show, so I put it on my phone. We'd like to thank Kevin Tsujihara, everybody at Warner.
Their thank yous are wonderful, but we can move on. So as you can see, this was the second year that the WGA has given out New Media Awards. It's divided into original content, which is new content, something completely original made for the web, and derivative content, which is like when something like 30 Rock, which is on broadcast, makes different webisodes, separate content for online. So let's talk a little bit about everybody's awards and when things are due and what you honor and how all that works. Tim, do you want to start?
Sure. So we've just gone through the process of submission, and right now, if you're a member, you can go through the entries and nominate the entries that have already, the shows that have already been entered into the IAW TV Awards, and then we'll be announcing the winners in Las Vegas at CES January 8th, and you can stay in touch with that by following IAW TV Awards on Twitter, or going to iawtvawards.org.
So two follow-up questions. One is, if you're not a member yet, can you still join? Do you still have time to vote, or did you have to already be a member by a certain point? And B, can anyone join as a member, or do you have to have produced a certain amount, or what's the...
Right now, anyone pretty much that is interested in producing web video or is involved as an actor, anyone that has interest in web video can join for $90. So there's not really a high threshold of membership In terms of entering and the awards, that's closed off right now. And I don't know if there's a cutoff for if you could join and vote. Is Amber still around? Amber's gone.
We can find that out.
There you go.
Okay.
If you want to know, come see me and I'll follow up with an email.
Our award show is February 17th, and the cutoff for submissions for New Media Awards is November 16th, so it's still ahead of us. One thing, the projects obviously do have to be covered under the Writers Guild agreement, but so it's the end of the day, November 16th.
The SAG Awards are in January, I believe, and we do not currently have a new media category at this time.
As a SAG member, I would like to suggest one.
I think I've made that suggestion myself.
You guys are merging. There's a lot to work through. Okay, great. Well, I think that now's a good time to open it up to questions. So, yes.
For SAG-AFTRA, and I guess it's mostly a SAG-AFTRA question. Can you use actors who are non-union in a SAG-AFTRA without them having to join if they didn't want to join? And also, if it's a non-union project, can there be a waiver for an actor who's union?
I'm going to repeat the question into here so that everyone watching at home. The question is about for SAG-AFTRA, can you use correct me if I'm wrong, can you use a non-union member if your show is SAG-AFTRA without them having to join? And if your show is non-union, can a SAG-AFTRA actor get some sort of waiver to work on it? But yeah. Okay.
Thank you. So the first part of your question, you can hire a non-union member to work on your production, but you have to put them under a union contract. So that could affect their eligibility status, and most likely will. So, if it's their first job, you probably won't have a problem. Yeah, so you would have to do the Taft-Hartley process. We do require that the first 10 background actors per day are covered under a union contract. So if you have to hire some non-union background, they would also need to be put under a contract. Now, if there are issues, we understand that in new media, a lot of these people are working for free and just doing it for the experience or for the sheer joy of it. So if someone is going to get into a situation with their eligibility status on a new media project, just call us and we'll see what we can do in that situation. I mean, we don't want to put anyone into a must-pay situation where they have to pay the $3,000 membership fee to work for free on a new media project. It just doesn't make sense. We understand.
And what about the other question?
No. So if you want to hire a SAG-AFTRA performer, it has to be a covered production. And that's actually the first rule of membership is members can't work on a non-covered production. Though they do, but they shouldn't.
And Shelagh, what about for WGA?
Pretty much the same. They shouldn't.
And can you hire, if you're a WGA covered show, can you hire a non-guild writer?
Yes, and then they can they will earn points towards membership.
Yeah.
And after they hit that 24 points, then they will be approached by our membership department to join.
Yeah. And it's so easy to become a signatory to these agreements, and they're so flexible. I mean, there really aren't a lot of reasons to not do it. So if you're sort of tossing it around and up in the air, give us a call and we'll help you. And I swear, it's not a high-pressure pitch.
Yeah. And for us at the Writers Guild, we really take things on on a case-by-case basis. So same as well, just get in touch with me, and we can work through it.
I'm a performer, and I have a question that kind of piggybacks on that. When you're getting asked to audition for things that are non-union and upholding our union by not going through those, is there anything we can do to encourage producers and content creators to be able to go through the process? Because I think there's that kind of thing where because everything's changed so much in the last couple of years, it's kind of all new to everybody, and there's a little bit of fear going into it. Is there anything we can do to kind of nudge people along to be more open?
Absolutely.
Let me just repeat so that So basically, the question is from a SAG-AFTRA performer. Question from a SAG-AFTRA performer about when they're being fantastic and upholding their union membership and not going in to audition for non-union projects. What can they do to encourage producers to go union, especially because so many of the rules have changed and the business has changed a lot?
I mean, the first thing to do is, of course, educate yourself as much as you can as a member. So if you are caught in that situation on a set, you'll know how to handle, that conversation with the producer. And again, because it's so easy for them to become signatory, and there aren't a lot of rules that they need to be worried about, as long as their cast is flexible. There's really no point or no reason to not sign your agreement if you want to use union members. So you can always, have a conversation with them, talk to them about how easy it is to do it, and if they want good talent and a nice final product, they should probably go union, and you can refer them to me or just in general to New Media at SAG, and we'll, give them the pitch.
I might be able to give you a little insight on that. If you have a producer that's like, oh my God, you are perfect for this role, we have this web series, we're doing it, it's non-union, now you're in a position of they want you. And that's where you can come in and say, look, I really like this project. This is a great project. I'd love to be in your project. But I'm a member of SAG-AFTRA, and I need you to go SAG-AFTRA. Can I hook you up with the people at SAG-AFTRA to just take a look at what it would take, the paperwork, and you can do a one-time only production, or you could do all your productions this way, and just give them that option.
Yes. Back there? Yeah.
What are the requirements for someone to become a signator? Can you have an individual, or specifically can you have a member of SAG, and then this is specific for SAG-AFTRA have, they want to produce their own show, and they sign as an individual? Does there have to be some kind of a corporation or an LLC? And if corporation LLC, how many shareholders, members?
This is a question about the formal sort of business requirements for becoming signatory.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was for me, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm going to make you answer it too.
She's been working on it. When you sign with SAG-AFTRA, we don't have any requirements. So you can sign as an individual, you can sign as an LLC. So there aren't any requirements there.
You do have to have a tax ID number or a social security number.
Exactly. So if you're signing as an individual, we use your social. If you have an actual business formed, we will use your tax ID number. There are no differences, signing either way. It's still the same agreement. I highly suggest that if you are able to form an LLC, to do that, just as good business practice. But it's completely not necessary for working with SAG. And as far as the structure of the corporation goes, I mean, we have no requirements as to that. So.
This is going to make the Writers Guild sound so strict in comparison. Like I said earlier, for us to become a signatory, you do need to be an LLC.
You can't be an S corp.
Yeah, you can. You need to be you just need to be a formal corporate entity, an LLC or S corp. You can be an INC. You can't be an LLP. You can't be an LLP, which is a limited liability partnership, and you can't be a DBA, which is doing business as. And that really has to do. Do you want to talk about pension?
Yeah, it has to do with pension and health contributions, and federally, they need that.
And that's not an issue with SAG-AFTRA?
So specifically, when a performer is producing their own show and acting in that show, there are rules against contributing to your own pension plan, and those are federal laws that we can't control, obviously. However, if you are, a professional new media producer and you act in your own productions and this is how you make your living, there's a waiver process that you can go through with the pension and health department, so that you can actually make contributions to your own pension plan. But you have to be. I mean, that has to be where you make the bulk of your income.
Okay. In the back over there, going to the other side. Yeah, you, sir. Yeah, right there.
As far as with Writers Guild, if you're paying yourself and you're an LLC or a company, you still have to have proof of third-party financing in order to make the pension.
The question is about proof of third-party financing if you're a self-producing writer, even if you have an LLC for the Writers Guild.
Yes.
So you don't violate it. You can't go around enforcing the G or whatever it's called.
I don't know exactly what it's called. I'm not the contract guru at the Writers Guild for new media, but that is correct.
Yeah, and the reason for that is just to, basically prevent fraud, so that it is bona fide work that's being done and all of that. And then right in front in the blue.
Hi, so I'm a producer and I am a signatory now with the Writers Guild because I wrote all my own stuff but wanted to branch out and kind of create like a TV writer's room, like for my comedy stuff, right? So I wanted to be the showrunner and find other actually really talented writers to work with me, and that's one of the reasons that I came to the WGA. Now, if I'm going to look for actors, that's not a big deal. I cast, they come to me. It's very hard, I found, to actually find members of the WGA. Obviously I went to the panel last night. There are those people out there that are writing for the web. So my question, I guess, for Shelagh and maybe for Tamara is there anything like what Tim's doing with your Facebook group or your writers group? Did anything like that exist? Are there plans for that to exist so that the writers that are already in the union that have a desire and a willingness to work in new media and to write scripts can kind of recognize each other and producers can find them more easily?
I was taking notes as Tim was talking. I think it's all fantastic, and I'm going to steal every idea he has. Like I said...
Is that covered under my WGA membership advisory?
If you don't tell anybody I said that. I think it's a fantastic question, and we need to do it, and we will do it, certainly. Like I said, the new media program at the Guild is really just ramping up, and that's definitely something that we will do.
It's also a really wonderful indication of how the business has grown. We did a panel at the WGA 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, last March, and it was a full-length digital day looking at everything from how is a writer, what happens with a writer's digital presence online, why you need one, different ways of creating a brand for yourself. We talked about web video, we talked about social. And we talked about the need to be entrepreneurial. And at the end of the day, one of the writers in the audience said, all of that is great, but I just want to write. Where can I find somebody to hire me to be a writer on the web? And at that point, the answer was, you kind of really can't yet. The business hasn't matured to that point. There are very few companies that are just looking to hire web writers. A lot of the work is self-produced. So the fact that you're now sitting here saying, hey, I want to hire writers is a really wonderful indication of the way that this has grown and the reason that an organization like the IAWTV has come about and has resources for it, and kind of what's going on with the union. So
we do have WGA members and SAG members in the International Academy of Web Television. So
I'm a member.
There you go. And there's also this other website I stumbled across the other day. It's called Craigslist, I think, something like that. And you can post there that you're looking for writers. Now, you're going to get crazy submissions, but occasionally you find a diamond in the rough.
All right, we've probably got time for one more question, and of course we welcome you to come talk to us after. So right up here in the front.
Hi, I'm Jim Stortson. I'm CEO of Fourth Wall Studios. So we create transmedia content. One of the challenges that we've had in working with the unions is credits. Mm-hmm. What we do is not webisodes per se. It's not TV. It's not standard sort of scripted content. And so we're very pro-union, but we have trouble because we have people who are contributing really important things to the show, but they can't do it, or at least they can't be credited above the line because there are rules that are really kind of in place for other formats. Mm-hmm. So we're anxious to figure out a way to work with, it's especially an issue with the Writers Guild, to figure out how can we work with the people we need to work with, credit the people we want to credit, and not run somehow afoul of the WGA rules.
Repeat the question.
Transmedia is something that we talk about daily at the Writers Guild, and how we are going to move into the space and do exactly what you're talking about. And like I said, it's on a case-by-case basis, and we're still figuring it out. So I would love to talk to you about your suggestions and how we can figure out how to do this, because again, this whole conference, this is the future. So
we'd love to have that conversation.
Okay.
Our issue is that we're creating a show every 2 weeks.
Yes.
So this is like
a pressing,
And
no, I understand.
And there's actually, we've been sitting down with a number of production divisions of advertising agencies to talk about some similar issues. We cover video games, we cover animation, which sometimes has some similar issues. So these are all different groups that we're talking to and evolving as the content evolves. I actually talked to Alon right after the panel about having a conversation. I will say, give them a plug, they produced Dirty Work, which is a Guild-covered series, which just won an Emmy. So we're excited about that. So yeah.
Very good.
So I hate to say it, but we are out of time. I'm getting the signal. So I want to thank all of you for coming. We're here for questions. You can find all of us online. We all have cards. So come talk. And thank you again. And thanks to Suzanne. And thanks to Regular Creative.
Thanks.